very good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to chilly Canberra as the ACT gets its chance to sparkle against A-League opposition tonight. Tigers FC welcoming the might of Western Sydney's Wanderers. McKellar Park hosting the nation's biggest footballing knockout competition for the very first time. And thank you for joining us this evening. Storylines everywhere you look in front of a packed house here. Tigers looking for their first win in the national rounds at their third attempt. A historic night even if they don't achieve that though. It's their first time meeting A-League opposition. And you see the two teams making their way onto McKellar Park. They get the Wanderers at a funny old time for A-League clubs. The Wanderers are still 88 days from their last competitive fixture against Melbourne Victory and 86 days away from competing in their opening round Sydney derby at Allianz Stadium. New signings, a new head coach, a first glimpse for their rusted-on fans of what path lies ahead for this season. A few new names, a few returned. You see Angus Thurgate in shot and one man Ferreira alongside Panache Madana, two of the big name signings in the off-season for Ufuk Talay. Let's get to the team news. And first to the host, the Tigers, an 11-day break from their last league clash to this one tonight. So just two changes for Ali Efes Tigers after their dramatic 2-2 draw with Queanbeyan last weekend. 19-year-old Cassidy Schlesinger in at right back for Noah Steinecker, who drops to the bench. Marko Milutinovic also brought in to a rejigged back four with Josh Milicevic dropping out in an understandably defensive-minded change. Brother Aiden is an experienced cup campaigner with Sydney United, and the main goal threat, he's finding the back of the net at the rate of a goal a game in all competitions this season. The first team sheet of Ufuk Talay's Wanderers tenure is a strong one. New signings Madana, Ferreira, DiPizio and Gillian are all straight in for competitive debuts. Tristan Vidakovic has won the race for the goalkeeping gloves with Lawrence Thomas not yet available. And keep an eye out for Awan Lual on the bench. He's New South Wales NPL's Golden Boot leader with 17 goals in his 20 games in that competition across the winter. Well, Turkish-born Ali Efe has had his two proudest moments coaching this team at this ground. They upset the Monaro Panthers to win the Capital NPL Grand Final here a year ago. And they defeated Canberra, Croatia at the start of June to clinch their spot in the round of 32 hat in an emphatic 5-1 victory. A big chance to create another even happier memory this evening. Ufuk Talay seem in discussions with Milos Nikovic there, the 8th full-time coach to step into the Wanderers' hot seat in a direct switch from crosstown rivals Sydney FC. None of the 7 since Tony Popovic have been able to claim silverware in a wait for the red and black that now stretches beyond a decade. Who knows, maybe this cup run will bring the first piece of silverware since that Asian Champions League. Beginning of another new Western Sydney era with some familiar faces but some new ones popping around, and that will be something to excite their supporters in the first competitive game under Talay. But captain Brandon Borello is still there, the former Socceroo. I guess you're forever a Socceroo, aren't you? Borello will be looking to hit the back of the net a few more times than he did a year ago. Just 4 strikes in the league. It'd be nice to get off to a flyer tonight. You see the Wanderers in their change strip get us underway. Just 7 degrees here in Canberra as we hit kick-off in the middle of July. That no surprise, but maybe this game will throw up something just a little off-kilter to keep us on our toes. Hope you're enjoying your Wednesday evening from the comfort of the couch. It is chilly here in Canberra, but I'll tell you what, the action's going to keep us warm and ready. Certainly got the Canberra faithful out in force. About 3,500 can fit into McKellar Park. They fitted in plenty towards the end of last A-League women's season for the elimination final. Canberra United hosted against Melbourne Victory here. On the men's side of things, this is a big challenge for the old Capital Football's Tigers FC, winners of last year's grand final, as we mentioned, sitting third in the table so far this season. It's been really a three-horse race between they, Monaro Panthers, and Canberra, Croatia, who were last year's Australian Championship representatives, looking to take that place again. But the Tigers could do something that no capital football side has done since back in 2016. And Canberra Olympic made it all the way to an unlikely semi-final against Sydney FC, and that's win a game in this competition. It's been a fair old wait. 10 years if they can't get it done tonight, and they are rank outsiders, but this is the beauty of the Cup. Never know quite what is going to unfold over the course of 90 minutes, and of course the extra time and penalties if we need them tonight. Dylan Cicluna, he's had a change of number in the off-season. Playing in the heart of defence. He's pledged himself to the Australian national team though, after representing Malta in underage football. So I thought that with a big A-League season, he could win himself a move overseas sooner rather than later. Hoping to see more consistent game time under Ufuk Talay than he did under Alan Stajic a year ago. Here's one of the new faces, Miguel De Pizio. Darting in fact, that was Gillian taking the ball in from the left-hand side. A new face, the New Zealander. Someone from Auckland off the back of a short stint with the OFC Pro League side in that new competition. Trying to get himself back into the first team. And you see the Tigers are set up very deep here to try and resist for as long as possible. Ufuk Talay does have a history of setting his teams up to attack with vigour. Might need numbers thrown forward tonight against this sort of opposition. One of the best ball players in central midfield in the competition in years past is Angus Thurgate. Can he unpick the lock? He's sent a raking pass out to the left, and Gillian winning the race to the ball and winning his team a corner. First set piece of the night. Testing the right fullback, Cassidy Schlesinger, who has been brought in. Healthy travelling RBB contingent as well, which is good to see. Used to be 3.5 hours down the Hume Highway. I'm not sure it's quite that now. Getting through Sydney traffic this afternoon would have been interesting. So they've braved the conditions to be here. Hopefully they can get an early reward as that one swung in towards Ferreira, who is making an enterprising run. He's not the biggest as central defenders, but still enough of a threat in goal-scoring situations. There's a couple of goals across his A-League career, which until this season had been spent entirely with Melbourne City. There's Anthony Pantazopoulos just getting familiar with Marko Milutinovic. First chance for Chris Hodson, our referee, to come in and play peacemaker tonight. Thurgate will try and land this ball right on the money again. A very crowded 6-yard penalty box in front of Lejeune, and that ball flicked across the face of goal and barely wide. A better directed set piece the second time around. See Borello making that run to the front post. I think it might have been a Tiger's head that actually got the touch though. Referee didn't spot that. So the Tigers get a pressure relieving goal kicks to start things off. Here's Michael Southam taking the throws. One of a contingent that were part of the grand final victory at the end of 2025. Free kicks, or in fact the throw-in's gone the Wanderers' way, or just passing out. You can see the energy of Ali Efe. Turkish background, spent some time in the Canberra United women's system before taking over at Tigers FC, so he knows this ground well. Tigers usually playing their home football down at South Jerome Bombera. Hammond on the turn for the Wanderers, darting into the area. He's just been held up there nicely by Sam Whittier, and you hear from the reaction, he's a very popular figure. Only member of the squads, still lasting from their 2021 appearance in the Cup when they fell by 3-0 against RPL Leichhardt at Seaford Oval. It's been a bit of continuity about the way they've built their side, Tigers, over the past couple of seasons, but it was a little bit of a rebuild at the start of Hefe's tenure. Also is one of the more recent additions. You see his athleticism there as he tried to progress the ball forwards. Gillian seeing plenty of the football in his first Wanderers start. Alex Gersbach is back again as well. Pantazopoulos. There's some thoughts that there would be a massive overhaul in terms of the Wanderers squad after their first wooden spoon a year ago in the A-League, but it's not really been the case. It's been more an evolution rather than a revolution under Ufuk Talay and new football director Mal Impiobato. Hammond's one of those familiar faces who's made his mark off the bench more often than he's been starting in his Wanderers career. He's able to unpick the lock there. Lejeune, who's a personal trainer by day, Tigers goalkeeper. It's Tristan Vidakovic, who Wanderers fans will remember, started the first 3 games of the 24-25 season before losing his spot. He's not really been sighted outside cup football since. But signed a new contract over the course of the winter months. Keep him at the club for another couple of years. His Thurgate. Chance to turn for DiPizio. The ball in is dangerous towards Gillian. Well defended at the back post by Cassidy Schlesinger again. He's been busy, the 19-year-old. Has been brought in tonight. Started that cup final against Canberra, Croatia, which ended so successfully. Actually trailed in that game, Tigers, before getting an equaliser just before half-time. Starring role, we mentioned Milicevic in the pre-game, but it was some sort of day out. For everybody who got out here to watch that one, headed back in by DiPizio. And there is Milicevic, getting his first touch of the football tonight. Playing with Andrew Porviak. Schlesinger, he's just slipped as he's played that ball up towards Milicevic. Seems to be furthest forwards. He's a very attacking player, but he's thought of as a creator during his time in the NPL New South Wales. That's what Aidan Hammond's doing tonight for the Wanderers in the opening 9 minutes or so. More agricultural piece of play from Whittier. Coming back to that cup final, it was Spencer Barber who had a day out, the Canadian. You can see him sort of tracking back to try and pressure Hammond here, and he managed to get a touch on the ball as well, the Canadian. A heavy challenge from Hammond, whose heavy touch turned the ball over. The end of it was Elijah Howe. Wins his team a pressure relieving free kick. See, challenge from Barber was what affected the heavy touch from Hammond. Talay and Milos Ninkovic alongside JP Demarani, who has been around the club for a very long time now. He's the old hat amongst that pair, or trio I should say, in terms of knowing the Wanderers Football Club and what they're all about. So those two, Ninkovic of course has been here as a player and now an assistant for a few seasons, but trying to bring an influx of some new thinking as well. Dana certainly fits that billing, starting as a right back again tonight. Came through the Adelaide United youth system as a winger. Was transitioned back there by Carl Weert during his time at the club. Got a new leader in the heart of defence, which Wanderers fans are always keen to get behind in Ferreira, particularly when they're performing well. Gersbach with an opportunity to turn and look forward. Gillian. Cicluna. Wide for Madana. too many runners in front of him, so he might just look to do it himself. It's cut off by Southam, and every defensive action is drawing cheers from this healthy McKellar Park crowd tonight. Southam very much a no-nonsense defender. He's played in the heart of defence at different times, been used more often as a fullback by Aliezer this season. There's defending to do again as Hammond gets the header in on target. Simple save for Lejeune, who saw it all the way. Didn't need a second pass to gather the football, and now there might be a chance for Owusu as Ferreira misplayed the initial clearance. And he's to recover the Argentinian. Badana's ball down the touchline has given DiPizio something to run for. Wanderers were delighted to have his signature and get him back to the club after he departed for the Central Coast Mariners, part of the treble-winning campaign there. And managed to claim the Premiership, the Championship and the AFC Cup. Still a teenager then, he should be coming into the prime of his career, along with this man, Liam Gillian, who's been keen to run with the ball early. Again, a turnover, this time from the Kiwi. That draws a challenge, and the Tigers have looked pretty resolute to this point. Been sat deep as we might have expected. They've built their good form this season and in capital football on a solid defence. Just the 18 goals conceded across 15 games played. Uncharacteristically loose defending for the 2 goals they conceded against Queanbeyan last weekend. We mentioned the long turnaround time they've had. Milutinovic just a second to the football and leaving a foot in there on DiPizio, who darted inside. Speaking a bit more on him, he should be reaching into the talent's always been apparent, but hoping to win a consistent starting role for himself and be a bit of a leader. Australian underage international at under 17 and under 20 level. There's a meeting of the minds over the ball. DiPizio, who won the free kick, and Thurgate, who generally is option 1 for the Wanderers. It's DiPizio making the move first, leaving the ball for Thurgate. It's a tough angle, but he swung it towards Pantazopoulos. And the decision goes the Wanderers' way. Be able to keep building pressure from these early set pieces. Milutinovic and Pantazopoulos get familiar again. It's funny, this cup competition's not been the one the Wanderers have had the most fun in over the past few seasons. Hoping to change that record and get a little bit deeper this year. Thurgate delivers, half away by Southam at the front post. Ball back in from Cicluna, backheeled by Pantazopoulos. And here's DiPizio lining up. Strike that with some venom. It was brave piece of defending, and then the ball lobbed into the box. Catching practice for Lejeune. He's got a bit of goalkeeping pedigree behind him as well. He spent some time down in the NPL Victoria a few seasons ago. Here's Hammonds. He's trying to protect the ball with his body. Milutinovic read it well. And even better, keeping his feet was Whittier. His ball's being launched up towards Owusu, who's got the size and capabilities to cause problems for the Wanderers' defence if he's allowed to get in front position. Orfiak quite able to keep the ball in play. And Tale up off his seat for the first time this evening. You see those technical areas are not too large down here at McKellar Park, so you don't have to move too far to get your message across. Just a little bit of concern over Sam Whittier's health at the moment. Looks to be giving attention to his shoulder. Hopefully okay to continue, because he is really the heartbeat of this Tigers team. Overjoyed after the win in the cup final. Conducting the presentation almost in the post game. Seems to be okay. Copped a knock to the side of the head by the looks of things. Doesn't look as though there's any claret there. Might just be the angle. Chris Hodson wants the throw taken at the correct moment. We'll be back with us shortly, but Tigers going to be forced to defend with 10 for the moment. And there's only one thought in the Wanderers' mind, that's to try and punish them for that. Gersbach's delivery, it was a dangerous one. A good defensive header from Elijah Howe, who'd slotted in with Whittier off the field. Thankfully, he's got a bit of history as a centre half as well, Elijah Howe, starting in midfield today. It's where he played most of his college career, over with the Michigan State Spartans in his early 20s. Half a decade ago now. Chance to deliver here from the near side this time for the Wanderers. Gersbach clattering into the back of his opposite number 10, Milicevic, and then a real air swing. Basically the next thing up from that. He sees the ball trickle over the byline. A couple of chuckles from the travelling RBB as well. You can see the funny side at this stage, as can Anthony Pantazopoulos. No one asked me to play as a winger, he said. Was a midfielder in his development years. I think that often is forgotten because of the persona he holds up in the A-League now, but times, even as he broke into the first team at Oakley, where he was being deployed in central midfield roles rather than as a central defender, as he is week in, week out now. The attacking instincts of Alex Gersbach getting forward. Gillian's ball away from Madana. Down by Thurgate for DiPizio. And those two interchange passes. DiPizio wants to get onto his left foot and really challenge the Tigers' defence in and around the edge of the area. Positions that Hammond's taking up at the moment. His pass is a little loose. It's interesting little adjustment that Buffon-Tale's seen fit to put Aidan Hammond in that number 10 role behind the striker today. Played most of his career as a wide player in the A-League to this point. Some flexibility there, with DiPizio certainly capable of operating in that central role if needed as well. Mentioning the Wanderers haven't had the happiest run in this competition. A quarter-final back in 2024. Quarter-final in 2023, but knocked out by Heidelberg. Really the first of their giant-killing run last season. That 3-0 defeat in the round of 16 at Olympic Village. Won't want to get into any sort of similar territory to that, particularly in this opening tie. Gillian with a dangerous delivery, not really cleared by Savum. Eventually hooked away by Milicevic, and then Cicluna from range. Always rising, and brings an ironic cheer or two. He's capable of hitting them from that sort of distance, Dylan Cicluna. Still only one league goal in his Wanderers career to his name. You see enough of him as a technician to know he has got the technique, even from that sort of distance. Might be a chance for Spencer Barber to run for the first time tonight. Vidakovic watchful. Coming out of his goal. It's his second touch of the evening, and then the clearance out of the stadium into the suburb of McKellar, bringing a cheer or two as well. Tigers have stuck to their task for the opening 20 minutes. This is exactly what Ali Efe, their coach, would have demanded from them. Defensive discipline, and to cause a problem or two when they've managed to grab some possession for themselves. It's a gorgeous playing surface here at McKellar Park. There can be no complaints about that. Some of the clubs having to travel onto artificial surfaces in the first round of the Cup. Not a problem for the Western Sydney Wanderers tonight, although they haven't made the best of it there. Sloppy turnover. It'll be interesting to see just how many bodies Tigers throw forward in situations like this. It's not such a negative setup that they're not going to give it a crack. Why not? You don't get these cup ties all that often, particularly against A-League sides. First time in the history of this club, which derives its story from Kuma Tigers, who were set up in the 1950s. There's been a move up to Canberra only recently. They've been playing out of the AIS, as we mentioned, for the past couple of seasons. They've been able to draw more and more players of impressive pedigree. Porfiak is one of those, tracking back from central midfield, but it was his turnover that's opened the door for the Wanderers, and Alex Gersbach's delivery, well watched by Lejeune. And the distribution has given Barber the chance to run, and the fans here to get a little bit of excitement in their step. He slips past Thurgate. Cicluna reading the game well, as he always tends to. Very interchangeable, that front three in the early stages anyway. Owusu's very much the release ball for them when they're coming out of defence, but Barber with that threat of running in behind, and Milicevic, the ball player. They all bring their own different strengths to the Tigers' front three, all applying themselves diligently defensively as well. As Hahn was with that piece of play, and then a lovely little flick over the top from Owusu. You can see Michael Southam's trying to get forward from left back there. Tells you about the intent of this Tigers team. Also signing for this season from Launceston United down in Tasmania. So he's been well travelled, the Brit. Highest level of football back in the UK was with Rochdale early in his career. English third division, League One. Schlesinger playing it back, and a chance for Tigers FC to have some sustained possession here. Just a little sloppy as they tried to play through midfield. Get Sohei Matsumori on the ball. Offside flag in there as well. He's another one, if they can find. We talked about Howe's college experience. Matsumori's got that as well. Different colleges across his stints in the United States before coming to continue his football career down in Australia. Japanese midfielder. All three of their visa players in the squad tonight, in the starting lineup tonight for Ali Eze. Here's Owusu for Matsumori. Two of them linking up there. Hahn. Happy to keep possession with Milutinovic. Oh, and a little there from Lejeune, who was a long way out of his goal, and the first touch invited Aidan Hammond to try and make something positive of it. The Wanderers get back into their attacking rhythm with Gillian. Goes for goal himself. Tell you what, the strike wasn't too bad, but always rising to the point where Lejeune never looked particularly troubled. But he's been lively in his first Wanderers start. Liam Gillian, eager to impress. After dropping out of Auckland's first team over the course of the last A-League men's season. The 6 appearances for Steve Corica in 24-25, all of them off the bench after being key to their premiership campaign in their inaugural season. Dana's challenge was rather crude on Owusu. He didn't look best pleased with his treatment. Don't think there are too many strikers that do. Dana making the move away from Adelaide for the first time this year, where he's been basically since he moved to Australia as a 4-year-old from Zimbabwe. First, and to my knowledge, only Zimbabwe-born player to have appeared in the A-League men's. Delivery from Milicevic has his first time to test Vidakovic, and there's an offside flag up amongst all that. A couple in the Tigers line breaking a little early. It's been Milutinovic. Just got a little excited. You can do that with Aidan Milicevic's set piece delivery. He was Sydney United's anointed taker for a couple of seasons there, under Zelko Kalac and Ante Juric. We mentioned in the pre-game as well with Milicevic, an experienced campaigner in terms of these cup runs. He's still only 22 years of age, Tigers FC's number 10. Schlesinger out of his defensive position. The clearance is only as far as Madonna though. And Thurgate. It's been a steady start from the Wanderers, but they haven't produced anything particularly exciting to this point. Gillian's been the best outlet. Can he play provider here? Finds a way past Matsumori. Cicluna. Thurgate trying that slide rule pass again. It's been difficult to break down the Tigers' defence without an angle. Cicluna pressing to win the ball back. Thurgate's delivery. This one's better. And the first touch of Gillian let him down. Hammond attacking the ball. DiPizio with it up in the air, and Schlesinger eventually able to head the ball clear of danger. See the sheer weight of numbers the Tigers had back inside their penalty area, and now Schlesinger's knocked the ball out of play. I think this is another little concern about the goalkeeper as well, Lejeune. They've provided a good soundtrack to this point. Wanderers might need them to keep doing just that. They can't find a way to goal. In the corner of this game, Tigers have defended fairly doggedly. There's the goalkeeper Lejeune, who just had to be checked on for a moment there. Sportingly, Gillian throwing the ball back to the hosts, who can try and play out through the Wanderers' press. Haven't managed to successfully this time, and it's a beautiful bit of skill from Cicluna to get them going forward again. DiPizio's ball for Borrello. Lejeune did enough and had enough teammates around him, but a Wanderer wasn't able to get to the ricochet. Milicevic making his way downfield, got a foot in to try and nick the ball back off Madonna, but he'd done enough. And we slot back into the Wanderers, keeping steady possession, looking to unpick this low block of the Tigers. Hammond, who is flitting into wide positions more and more regularly as this first half wears on, trying to get himself involved in the game. Press brings a turnover. Forfiak is lending a hand back there, and Vitir out of trouble. Goes back into a real tangle with Spencer Barber, and it's a throw into the Wanderers. Here's a chance for Borrello. It does love to make those runs in behind. That's what's left Lejeune a little worse for wear. No intent, he actually pulled out of the challenge by the look of it. The Wanderers skipper goes back, who wore the armband a few times over the course of the last season. Patzopoulos has done it a couple of times as well. Those statistics tell you the story of the opening half hour. It's been to form, but just the one shot on target will be of slight concern to Afuktale. Created opportunities, but no real clear-cut ones, with the exception of that ball played in behind for Borrello a moment ago. He's dropping deep to try and conduct things here, but he was knocked off it by Elijah Howe. Milicevic has got such nice close control, and better than that, he's been able to give Barber something to run for. Needs support in the middle. It's now arriving. Schlesinger off balance. Forfiak's ball is cut off by Thurgate, and the Sting finally runs out to the attack. I'd love Milicevic to be on the ball in those areas around the edge of the penalty area a little more. Tigers, that's a good win back by Matsumori, and Owusu into a tangle of legs with Cicluna. Gets to his feet, releases, but overhit the ball. And you can see the frustration just starting to set in with Aidan Hammond there. Wanted the ball played straight over the top. Owusu, who's been throwing himself about. There's been no lack of effort on his part. 28-year-old one of the better travelled individuals out there, particularly on the Tigers FC side of things. I think Alex Gersbach could probably lay claim to that mantle as well. The far-flung places his career has taken him. Dana looking to go himself and get into a crossing position, but it was cut off nicely by Southam, who has not put a foot wrong so far this evening. The Tigers left back. Pantazopoulos. That's what it's like to be on the winning side in a cup set. His Oakley team knocking Sydney FC out of the cup a number of years ago. It's really what rose him to prominence and won him that contract with Sydney FC, along with some very good performances in the NPL Victoria. Chance for Gillian now. 1-2 with Hammonds. That's what they want, the Wanderers. Ball for Borrello was left short though. Swept away by Howe. Wanderers will regroup and go again. It's a little too much of this, I'm sure. It's easier said than done, breaking down these deep blocks, particularly when a team's had as long a break to prepare for a game as Tigers have coming in tonight. Sure, the Wanderers staff would have liked them to create one or two more opportunities. Perhaps DiPizio's about to do that now. Touch betrays him. Barber back, lending a hand defensively. Cicluna keeping the attack alive. And now he turns it over. It's not something you see too often. Goes and wins the ball back off Owusu. Would have had a helping hand from the referee. Will it spill for a white shirt? It doesn't. And Milatinovic happy to sweep the ball clear. Every orange shirt within about 25 yards of their goal as the Wanderers built that attack. And it's hard going out there for the A-League sides. The hosts making it difficult, which was their task tonight in the cup tie. Love a goal to take with them into half-time. That really would set the cat amongst the pigeons. Madana playing with Ferreira, and even he is calling for the ball to be moved just a little quicker. Here's Hammond on the spin. Cut off again by Howe, helped out by Gillian. Gersbach. Don't know if Gillian knew it was an orange shirt behind him, but was happy just to let the ball run. The ricochet returned straight to his feet. Gersbach. It's the Kiwi winger Gillian again. Now he's made a more enterprising run. This is a good ball. Borrello off the post. The closest the Wanderers have come to breaking the deadlock. A really patient move, and one in which Gillian's directness unpicked the defence, and Borrello was probably half an inch from opening the scoring. Wonder whether Lejeune would have had it covered in any case. It would have been a spectacular save. No, he was beaten. All ends up. Just needed the ball half an inch closer to the inside of that post, and the Wanderers would have been leaders here. Well done, Brandon Borrello for so many goals over his Western Sydney Wanderers career. When things were going better, he was winning Socceroos caps off the back of his form in red and black. Dissipated somewhat with the poor form of the team last year, but now he's got that eye for goal. It's been well established for years and years now. His stints in Germany and overseas as well. Hammond coming to the right this time, and Borrello was making that front post run. This time the ball beats him, and Lejeune gathered. It's mostly a backup Lejeune when he was down in the NPL Victoria with St Albans and behind Javi Lopez at South Melbourne for a time as well. It's always well thought of. He spent some time up with Team Close Watchers, the Australian Cup, you'll remember. Magpies Crusaders for a time as well. Borrello trying to go one out there. Sold up by a pair of Milatinovic and Southam, who have really left very little space for Wanderers forwards to do anything productive. But maybe these turnovers will be their best chance. Hammond with a real opportunity, tried to slide it for Gillian, and perhaps was a little too unselfish. But the Wanderers starting to create more consistent opportunities now. Caution has been thrown to the wind after half an hour. They've got to be a little careful they're not short on numbers heading back the other way. This will test your fitness as a footballing team. Early in pre-season for the A-League clubs. This is pretty close to the first choice 11 from what's available to Ufuk Talay tonight. We'll be seeing it as a positive that getting such competitive minutes into the legs at this stage, early stage of the season, early stage of the pre-season, really. I mentioned that Sydney derby to open the A-League campaign and be able to watch live and exclusive on Paramount Plus. It's still almost 3 months away. Already seen one cup set last night with Preston coming from 2 down to topple the cup holders, the Newcastle Jets. So with Preston size versus even this Tigers FC team, that's an upset here would be even more sizable. Wanderers aren't looking as though they're going to let that occurrence eventuate, and the ball in from Gersbach's promising. Hammond's strike finds Southam's feet again. He's so persistently in the way, the 26-year-old. Pereira just shoving Owusu to the ground right in front of the orange and black colours that are populating this near side. Pereira with a shake of the head, but I think he would have been going down had the roles been reversed. Wanderers creating the best of their opportunities in the past 5 minutes or so. So Talay looking a bit bemused by it all, but have looked better in the past 5-10 minutes. Needing to keep this level now, it seems. Playing a team that are fit in the middle of their NPL campaign. They've had a terrific cup run. I mentioned the 3-horse race in the league. Well, they toppled Canberra Croatia to get here in the final. They beat Monaro in the Federation Cup semi-final a couple of weeks before that by 3-1 away from home as well. So that was a big victory in the capital football sense after easier wins in the early rounds against ANU and Belconnen. Gillian really has had the bit between his teeth, but the final delivery has just been lacking a little at times. Provided the ball in for Borello that saw him strike the uprights not 10 minutes ago, but those moments have been few and far between for the Wanderers. It's just the feeling around the ground at the moment. This game's in a bit of a holding pattern with 5 minutes to go until half-time. Quality to break them out of that shore for Ufuk Talay, but you do wonder just how quickly he'll be looking at his bench after the opening 45 minutes. There's attacking talent there. I mentioned Awan Lual and the terrific season he's had down in the NPL in New South Wales, leading the Golden Boot race there. Stephen Ugarkovic has long been thought as one of the best ball-playing midfielders in the competition. Excitement of players like Jai Rose and Tia Waraga as well if need be. No shortage of attacking weapons for Ufuk Talay on his bench tonight. But it's been the patient build-up that has brought the 2 best chances of the game, so to stick with that. Wanderers, as frustrating as it can be for supporters watching teams playing against slow blocks like this. DiPizio trying to dart inside. Milisevic's pressure forced a bit of a hurried pass forward. Again, they'll just swing the ball around. Pantazopoulos looking for options ahead of him, one of which are eventuating. Thurgate. Best run in this competition for the Wanderers were the back-to-back semi-finals in 2017 and 2018. Beaten by Adelaide United at Campbelltown back in 2017, and then the lone Sydney derby in this competition out at Panthers. They fell to one of the great Sydney FC teams. Dana's throw in towards Thurgate. Also taking it off his toe. That's their centre forward, Tigers FC. That tells you all you need to know about their setup tonight. Milicevic darting them forward. Porfiak probably not the player they wanted driving a counter. Defensive-minded midfielder. Schlesinger. Looking to dart away from one. Couldn't quite do that, the 19-year-old. Mentioned earlier, Lejeune's job as a PT, but it's a couple of others who make their money in strength and conditioning as well. Porfiak was a long time strength and conditioning member of the Newcastle Jets, set up in the A-League. He's a long time Hunter native before moving down to the ACT in the past year. We mentioned Spencer Barber's goal-scoring exploits, but he's also someone who helps out people with their health and fitness on the side as well to make ends meet. So just how much time for the Wanderers to try and unpick this defence in the closing stages? I think Tigers will be fairly happy to get to half-time with the scoreline still sitting 0-0. Haven't managed to create an opportunity of their own across this first half. Only a couple of touches of the ball for Tristan Vidakovic, who's been largely a spectator in this first half. They have defended gamely, and so the Wanderers still needing to do their bit and find the back of the net before the night ends, lest they be dragged into extra time. Still a lot of football to be played, and players like Gersbach can help with that. And Borrello just not quite connecting there. That's been the story of the first half for the Wanderers. Borrello has come closest to this point, striking the post just after the half-hour mark. Decide that 5-minute period, 10 minutes, if you're being generous. The Wanderers have not created consistent problems for this NPL Capital outfit. Been forced wide by the midfield that the Tigers have offered, and as you can see there, crossing statistics, that has been a route they've gone to. He's not one who loves the ball in the air, Borrello, so it does make things a little more difficult. There's not too many options if Ufuk Talay, not that I think he'd want to resort to that this evening. If he does want to go more consistently with those balls being bombed into the box, then he's not a standout sitting on his bench who's going to be able to change the game that way. Noel's an athletic individual, but they want to try and break them down in tight spaces like this. They've just not had the luck to this point. They've not provided consistent enough quality. Just the extra minute to be added on at the end of this first half, says our fourth official, Casey Flior. Milicevic brought down by Pantazopoulos. And so the anticipation builds of what might be in the shadows of half-time. We thought Milicevic might be the most consistent issue in an attacking sense for Tigers FC, and that has rung true. On the few occasions they have managed to get into the final third, it's just a lazy challenge from Pantazopoulos, really. Player not going anywhere. The ball didn't need to be won. Out of that, the hosts have a promising attacking situation. 2 years ago at GIO Stadium, O'Connor Knights did manage to take the lead against MacArthur before being hauled in. Could Tigers get themselves a lead here? Milicevic went direct, and that brings the action to a close. The first shots of the first half for Tigers FC is the final action of that. And Ufuk Talay not particularly delighted with the opening 45 minutes he's seen from his Western Sydney Wanderers in his opening stint in charge. A bit to be thought about. The pressure's been consistent, but it hasn't brought an opening goal. Only the shaking posts of the Tigers FC defence. David Owusu's thrown himself about. But the Tigers have not really created a clear-cut opportunity either. And so at the break here at McKellar Park, it's Tigers FC 0, Western Sydney Wanderers 0. We'll be back in just a moment.
What are you doing?
We're planking.
It's because of our internet providers.
We're stuck in 2011.
Same slow internet speeds.
And high prices.
It's like a nightmare.
Enough planking. Superloop is a network purpose-built for the super-fast future of the internet. You are free.
Don't take it lying down, Australia. Refresh your internet.
But to be fair, there weren't too many. And Tigers FC's defensive doggedness has given the A-League side problems. Here's a selection of the best opportunities. They've been few and far between. Angus Thurgate playing this ball forward to Pizio. And clearance away from Schlesinger. There's been a lot of those sort of angle balls into the box from inside left and inside right pockets. Gillian's been full of fire in his first Wanderers start after moving across from Auckland. This ball in, again, dangerous, but eventually dealt with by the Tigers FC defence, who've been happy to get bodies around the ball. Cicluna's follow-up effort never troubled the net. This a chance for Borello, being slid in by the slide rule pass and then sliding into the goalkeeper. And this was probably the Wanderers' best chance of the game. Paterzopoulos playing the ball to the left. Gersbach and Gillian both involved, and Brenda Borello inches away from opening the scoring, striking the uprights instead. The press brought probably the second best chance of the opening half. Hammond a little too unselfish in trying to find these Kiwi teammates, and so we still sit locked waiting for our first goal of this Hahn Australia Cup tie. Wanderers with the bulk of possession, the bulk of shots as well. The Tigers was the last kick of the first half from Aidan Milisevic's free kick. With every stat you want favouring the Wanderers after 45 minutes, with the exception of Jules 1, and perhaps that is the telling one from a Tigers perspective. Here's the other games that are in action now. Maitland FC and Fremantle City locked at 0-0. The Sydney United and Central Coast Mariners game is also scoreless at half-time. Macarthur have taken an early lead up in Darwin against Azuri United. And two games over the course of the weekend. It'll be a Sunday's afternoon of football. Western Bears hosting Melbourne City FC, and Melbourne Victory with the trip over to the west to take on Kingborough Lions United in what should be an interesting clash there as well. So, 45 minutes still to come here at McKellar Park. The locals hopeful and maybe somewhat expectant after the opening half performance their side puts in. We'll be back for the second 45 minutes very shortly here in Canberra.
The world's biggest teams are here.
Incredible stuff. Look at this atmosphere in here. It's unbelievable.
To face the best of the A-Leagues. All in one place. The Winter Festival of Football starts July 26 on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to McKellar Park. Still scoreless so far between Tigers FC and the Western Sydney Wanderers. It's been physical fair, two teams going in hard and fair at different times in this game. And the Wanderers a little frustrated with how everything's unfolded over the opening 45 minutes. On the right side, they've still got 45 more to figure things out. This man's proved hard to beat tonight though. Willem Lejeune, who's been terrific in keeping the Wanderers' attack quiet. He hasn't had too much to do in terms of saves, but he's been out claiming balls and ensuring that there's no second balls for Wanderers players to attack. You can see his positioning's been fine as well. These crosses that the Wanderers have been sending in, and then quick off his line when balls have been slid behind like that. Not to mention the closest opportunity of the first half, which thundered off his post, but balls like that have been easily dealt with. And that's given the Tigers FC defence some measure of calm, knowing that they're usually number one, aren't they, goalkeepers? He's gone right to the other end of the numerical code, Willem Lejeune. Hasn't affected his performance whatsoever. He's probably been one short of 100 out of 100 performance so far tonight, and it's his team that's get us underway in the second half, kicking from left to right, resplendent in their home orange and black. And the question for the Wanderers is just how do they unpick this defence and save themselves having to go to extra time, but also saving themselves the risk of falling victim to a cup set. It's every A-League team's worst nightmare, particularly in the early stages. They've looked like a team early in pre-season. I think it's fair to say the Wanderers. It's not to say they haven't shown glimpses of quality as DiPizio fires in the first effort of the second half. Lejeune is in the way again. His distribution's been pretty simple. It's been to try and find David Aversu as often as possible. He's made a pretty good habit of that. Spencer Barber and Aid Milicevic have been involved in the action plenty. Elijah Howe has been really storied, and a nice bit of skill from Barber. Unfortunately, it came to naught. And then now committing the foul on Aidan Hammond as he looked to turn. Mentioned towards the end of that 45 minutes as well, if Ufuk-Talay does want to change things, he's got plenty of attacking firepower in reserve as well. He's a little younger. They've matched Sydney FC tonight, the Wanderers. Great rivals in Sky Blue didn't. Well, they started 3 players over the age of 23 last night. And that win over Bayswater City in Perth. The Wanderers have matched them tonight. Gillian is set to turn 24 at the end of August, but at the moment means that statistic rings true. He's one of the ones over 23, Angus Thurgate, Ferreira and Gersbach. There's all the 3 senior players out there at the moment. Gillian's delivery, along with Borello. Not quite on the money. He's been the consistent outlet. They've been looking to come to this left-hand side. It's been a difficult night at the office for Cassidy Schlesinger, but he's carried out his defensive duties with a measure of calm, and he's had plenty of support on his inside when he hasn't been able to prevent the cross into the penalty area. So Luna decides the Wanderers are going down the right this time with Padash Madana. His delivery's too close to the goalkeeper once again. Very interested to see what the team talk was from Ufuk-Talay at half-time as Pantazopoulos and Owusu got tangled up. It's not been the first time they've met like that this evening. CT teams have not had the best of luck in this competition over the past decade. No wins since 2016 when Canberra Olympic made it all the way to the semi-final. In 2014 is their only other victory when Tuggeranong went to Hobart and beat South Hobart at Darcy Street on penalties. making that run, vanquishing Queensland's Surfers Paradise, South Australia's Redlands, and Victoria's Green Gully before meeting A-League opposition. Tigers in their two previous entries into the round of 32. Beaten by Hume City at Deakin Stadium and by Apia back in 2021 at Seaford Oval. It's the first time, hard to believe, that the Australia Cup has visited McKellar Park in its modern iteration anyway. Madana looking to find the cutting ball to unpick this Tigers defence. Goes back into an inverted position for the moment. Forced to recycle possession with Pantazopoulos. Thurgate. DiPizio. Seen as much as him as Tallow would probably like. He tried to feed that return, but the swarm of orange around Thurgate forced a heavy touch. Press from Madano. Seeing some of those pressing principles that are synonymous with Ufuk Talay starting to play out in different moments. I've had so much of the ball, the Wanderers, that hasn't really been the test for them this evening, but I've created a couple of opportunities pressing high up the pitch. Goes back with the right idea, not quite the right execution. Taking Spencer Barber rather heavily. But that's the idea. The Wanderers want to be winning the ball back as quickly as possible. Talay, certainly when he arrived at Sydney FC, was thought of a manager who wanted his teams to be proactive in and out of possession. Seemed to temper a little bit towards the end of his tenure there, but this seems to be back to the old principle, certainly. Defensive application is to be proactive and to ensure that your opposition aren't allowed to settle in possession whatsoever. Does leave space like this occasionally, though, and Spencer Barber is capable of exploiting that. Just ran probably a step too far with the football. And Gillian winning the free kick. There's a groan of frustration, but those referees around the country will be giving that one to the player with their body in the correct position. Andrew Polviak pinged there. One who doesn't get forward into those positions too often. Hasn't got a goal in league football this year, and the Tigers have been free scoring. 41 goals in their 15 league games. Top three in capital football have put a bit of a gap on the rest over the course of the league season. Ball cut out by Vitia, but he was a little frustrated. He couldn't keep the ball in play or at least launch it further downfield. Wanderers didn't make the best of these set-piece situations. It would have been something discussed at half-time as well. They did get them in the opening 45 minutes. There's a variation going short this time with DiPizio swinging away from the goalkeeper. Punched half clear. Another tidy piece of work from Lejeune. Been near faultless. It hasn't been spectacular stuff, but it's just been really steady. As we highlighted coming out of the break. Madana in a crossing position now, and again his quality from that sort of position has not been up to scratch tonight. This is your fullback, but particularly when breaking down these set defences, you want Panache Madana to be able to direct the ball right on the head of the teammates he has got populating the box, on providing no threat whatsoever. Looking for more of that. Just having a quick discussion with Casey Fleur, the fourth official for Talay. Doesn't look as though his cortisol levels got too high so far tonight, but might be cause for worry if they can't find a goal to break the deadlock in the next 15 minutes or so. Suddenly you're asking players to run through another half hour early in their pre-season. Wonder how much fitness will come into things the longer this game wears on, without the Wanderers holding a lead. Still a lot of football to be played. So a cup set still a fair way off the cards, but stranger things have happened. Thurgate for DiPizio. So Cluna for Thurgate. Nabadana, can he provide a little bit better end product this time? Well, he's done nicely to square it up for Thurgate. The pass was too heavy. And every bit of execution that's off the mark from now till they do get that opening goal is just going to add a level of frustration. As we mentioned, it's a cold night. You can see that in the crowds. 7 degrees at kickoff here at McKellar Park. It's meant to get down to 5 tonight. The capital of the heating up in the hotel, I can tell you that much. Pass right back to Sydney for the Wanderers. If that cracked all the way. Hopefully doing it with a place in the round of 16 secured. But a clever bit of work from Schlesinger. He just let the ball run, and Gillian wasn't anticipating the ball making it all the way across to him. So the ball just ricochets off his shin and out of play. Tigers has still been pretty keen to take that short option out of goal kicks, and Spencer Barber's making the point, well, if we're going to do that, might as well play it to my feet rather than ask me to chase him behind. It's been one of the few things Tigers FC have got wrong tonight. It's been a spectacular occasion put on, a lot of promotion during the week on social media. Get people out, see the smaller stands on the far side of the pitch, almost full. Doing well to pick your way into a seat down that side. People all around the grounds, used to getting crowds of about 3,000 for these cup ties. I think they'll be too far short of that here tonight. Love their football here in the capital when they get the opportunity to see A-League sides visit. Doesn't matter who the opposition are. The women's team have been prolonged as well, which has been a promising development. New owners found over the past couple of weeks to continue the legacy they've had in women's football in this part of the world. So the Wanderers women's team will be visiting here for a little while longer yet. Positive. Hopefully we're not a million miles away from men's sides being brought into the top tier of Australian football as well at some stage. Certainly the community, every time Socceroos or Matildas or high-level football is brought down here, as we saw all the way back a decade ago in the Asian Cup, where some of the best crowds of the competition down the road at Bruce Stadium. Here's Hammond for Pantasopoulos. Chance for Gillian on the turn. He's got a couple to aim for inside. Hammond in a shooting position, and that is the clearest look at goal he's had tonight. Really didn't go close to troubling the goalkeeper. He'll be disappointed with that. As we mentioned, every opportunity that goes down, we see some face paint in there, and they're smiling faces at the minute for Tigers FC fans. There's a couple of less jolly travelling Western Sydney Wanderers amongst the contingent in here tonight as well. Travelling RBB have continued to make noise. You hear the rhythm they've provided the football match, but the team have not quite played up to their performance. Still only the 2 shots on target to worry William Lejeune. Who really has thrown himself about tonight. No surprise to see him taking just a moment to recover. He's had a physical engagement, as it always is with Anthony Pantasopoulos, your direct marker. And that perhaps is the most worrying, well, not the most worrying, but one of the top 2 or 3 statistics for Hufvud Talle tonight is that they've been the ones drawn into ill discipline more often than their opposition. Ali Efe, whatever happens over the next half hour or so, and even more if we do get that, I think we'll be very, very impressed by what his team have produced tonight. So it's one of the easier things to do, to set up to defend your goal and not offer too much more going forward. But Tigers have done more than that tonight. They have had a couple of forays forwards, even if you can only count them on one hand. And Owusu again going into a 50-50 and coming out with a referee's decision. Cicluna with a raised arm. I don't think there'll be need for any further discipline. He's rather confused by that all. Continues to play. You don't always know that you've struck someone when you're just trying to get yourself in position. I have to say, though, that Cicluna had a quick look, saw that Owusu was there, and despite there being no malice in the challenge, he did stick his hands up to try and give himself some leverage over the taller opponent. That's a free kick. Chance for Southam to get forward. He's a bit of a goal snake. He's managed to find the back of the net in each of his 4 league campaigns in Capital Football. The biggest goal of his life if he could find one tonight. Spencer Barber making a run for the byline and doing enough to win his team a corner with the ricochet off Gersbach. And what has Ali Efe been drilling into his players over the last 11 days in terms of set pieces to try and catch the Wanderers out? Well, it's one going short. Matsumori trying to get the better angle on the cross. Didn't eventuate because Borello was back to lend a helping hand defensively. The Tigers FC here with a little spell of sustained possession. Or sustained pressure on the Wanderers' goal, I should say. And there might be a shooting opportunity for Matsumori. That's another player just looking to be a little too unselfish. Milisevic's goal return this season has been so impressive, 20 goals in 20 games. Although a lot of them have come from the penalty spot. He's a deadly finisher when he gets the opportunity. Japanese midfield partner not able to find him. And now the first changes are about to arrive with half an hour left to play. Just waiting for Wanderers substitutes to be ready. So they are now. Atia Waraga getting his first run of the season after 3 games in the A-League last year to replace Aidan Hammond, who has put himself about. It's just not quite had that final piece of quality the Wanderers have been looking for him from him tonight. On the back is not a bad mentor to have if you are trying to turn yourself in that sort of creative midfielder. Have Milos Ninkovic, but the 22-year-old is removed for the 19-year-olds. It's actually a Canberra native. Atia Waraga grew up playing his football around these parts. Maybe a taste of home. Maybe home comforts can provide a goal at some stage. They had the 1 start last season for the Western Sydney Wanderers, and that was in their final league game of the season against Melbourne Victory. So Gary Van Egmorn coach team to put some principles in place for the start of this season, 26-27. Here the crowd rises. Michael Southam makes his way towards goal, and I tell you what, Vidakovic is a confident goalkeeper with his feet. Doesn't want to become casual with it though. Distribution was effective enough that time. And Tigers have got to make up grounds and get back into their defensive positions. Cicluna. Gersbach. For Gillian. Does get the cross in this time. Borello's touch is good. Can he get a shot away? Or tee up to Pizio? Elijah Howe has made a habit of getting in the way of those Wanderers attacks. They come again. Gersbach's overlapping run. This ball to the Pizio. Again, not able to force the goalkeeper into a save with a fairly clear shooting opportunity inside the box. And just as Hammond did 5 minutes ago, Pizio looks to the heavens because he knows he's capable of at least stinging the palms of the Tigers' shot stopper in that situation. Just recognising those opportunities have been so few and far between tonight, just snatched at it a little bit. The Wanderers can't afford that, and it's poised to go with their purpose and shown general signs that things are starting to bed together. This is largely a new squad. The spine's still similar. Talking about players like Pantazopoulos and Thurgate, Cicluna, Gersbach. A few new faces to bed in as well. 4 starting debutants for the club tonight, including this man, Hahn Ferreira. Gersbach for Gillian. So early cross this time. Borrello, it's that same pocket of space in the inside left channel. Tees it up for Cicluna. Turn for Borrello. Lovely spin. Gersbach. Just over the head of Madano. Made the run into the area. Thurgate has another crack. This is better from Western Sydney. Getting more numbers and bodies into the box. Trying to break the Tigers' backs as we edge towards the final quarter of this game. Gillian a little too fancy with the footwork there. Gersbach wins the duel to keep the attack going. Still left a foot in there. He's a little unlucky not to bring the referee's whistle unless he's played advantage. Gillian. Can the Kiwi muster? He's got Gersbach helping out again. He's getting forward more and more often now, Alex Gersbach. And his cross forces Porviak to turn the ball behind. This was a challenge that went in, and Owusu was lucky to get away with that one. Nonetheless, the Wanderers have built an attack off the back of that little duel. And this man is starting to stand up. Alex Gersbach, they're looking for leadership from him. 29 years of age now. Through as a youngster all those years ago. Delivery towards Madana. Away by Milicevic. High rather than back into the box from Cicluna. And Owusu is more than proficient in that area of the game. Once it hit his boot though, it skewed. And Thurgate, Borrello, this is nicer from Western Sydney. They found the opening goal. Finally, Miguel Di Pizio on his return to the Wanderers team slides the ball past the goalkeeper and gives Western Sydney the lead in Canberra. We mentioned that their press have been the most effective. A little miscontrolled ball there from Owusu, and Thurgate was quick to pounce. Slid the ball in for Borrello, whose touch was clever, and Di Pizio's was decisive. Right into the corner of the net. And William Lejeune, who has put up such a stern resistance in Tigers FC's goal, is finally beaten. The Wanderers have their lead, and so Oli FA turns to another Milicevic, Josh, brother of Aiden. And it's a first goal back. The Western Sydney Wanderers junior, Miguel Di Pizio, who was lured up to the Central Coast by promise of first team minutes and an academy contract that was developed in the heart of Western Sydney. So they are so happy to have him back. Sort of player that the club hierarchy has talked about trying to foster and really build an identity around going forward, which is music to the ears of the supporters, but I've heard a lot of promises like that over the past decades. It's nice to see one of those Western Sydney boys back in the team and scoring the goals. It's nice when he's had all the development through the Australian underage systems as well. Vitir, who's put up a lot of hard work in front. The only remaining player from their last Australia Cup campaign back in 2021. Saw them defeated that night by Hume City. Borrello. That's him at his best when his feet are working like that. Goes back's cross. Put the floodgates open. Thurgate! Set up nicely for him, just not able to get the required topspin to have the ball spinning back under the crossbar. Also will be disappointed with this. Just him turn over a ball like that in that cup qualifying final against Canberra, Croatia, and he was punished there and he's been punished here, and the Wanderers might be looking to punish Tigers again. DiPizio down under Schlesinger's challenge. Cicluna lining up. Fires over into the onward-looking crowds. Once again, the Wanderers coming with intensity and trying to win the ball back as quickly as possible. Those principles being set down are looking really, really promising. Cicluna's shots not quite meeting the mark, but again, he's getting in goal-scoring positions, which can only be a good sign as well. Of another substitution from Tigers FC as well, as Augustine Bangura is on for Andrew Powiak. That is an attacking change. Forward player who doesn't find the back of the net often, but puts himself about, and he's here pursuing Gersbach as he looks to get forwards, taking a more attacking role. Madana, and now a chance to square the ball up for Borrello and make it two. Like London buses, the Wanderers waited so long for a goal, and two arrive in the space of 4 minutes. Laid on beautifully by Atia Waraga as well. One of the substitutes paying dividends for Ufuk Talay, and it's Borrello who opens his account for season 26-27. I don't think he'll score too many simpler. The Wanderers finally piecing together a nice flowing move. Madana and Waraga, the architects down the right. Borrello, the finisher. That is a promising blueprint for Ufuk Talay. And finally, those travelling supporters have something to really sing about. Well, the resistance was stern, but the barge of the boats has been broken. There seems to be a little bit more flooding in. The Tigers could have a moment to their own as Milicevic fires and forces a good save out of Vidakovic. Oh, and then a risky back pass, and that could have gone anywhere. That time it was Josh getting involved in the press and almost forcing the error. Well, this game, which had just plodded along, has sprung to life in the last 5 minutes. Vidakovic almost undone by his very experienced fullback, who should have known better. Offered a hand in apology, rightly so. You can see Herman Ferreira has not had a night that he might be celebrating at the end of all of this. The Wanderers are going to go through now. That much looks almost certain. The Tigers might have had to score with that Milicevic strike if they were to get back in the game, and now it's DiPizio's turn. Ball easily fielded by Lejeune. He's had a much better second half, Miguel DiPizio. In those attacking areas. Part of the help has been that he's flitted out to the left-hand side. Another sloppy turnover from Tigers. Thurgate. 1-2 between Gillian and Borrello. Just falling short of completing that move. Pantazopoulos sweeping up. Cicluna. It's taken off the ball by Milicevic, and there's a little bit of afters as one brother came in to defend the other. Milicevic has been Aiden, that is, I think, pinged for the foul. But watch here, Cicluna plays the ball out. Bliskovic, Aiden bundling into him, and then Josh just stepping in and giving him a shove as well for daring to turn and face up to his brother. Well, frustrating for Aiden, I think, given that did have that clear-cut opportunity just a moment ago. Now the Wanderers are starting to make their dominance of possession show a little more clearly in terms of those passes they're putting together. More in the final thirds, and William Lejeune has been busier in this second half than he was in the first. Not to say he was a bystander in the opening 45 minutes, far from it. Gillian. It looks as though he's going to be given the 90 minutes, and Bangura, who's only just come on the pitch, has found himself the first man booked tonight for that challenge on Liam Gillian. Tigers fans having something to say about that, but there can be no argument with that challenge. Late, reckless, everything a referee's looking for before he pulls out the yellow card. A forwards challenge, shall we say. And so can the Wanderers give their supporters another happy memory to take back up the Hume Highway? Grillo just querying the position in which to place this ball. He and Waraga are the combination over the ball. It will be left to the more senior man. Borrello didn't quite strike that with the venom that was needed to beat the goalkeeper from that distance. Looking to shape the ball over the wall. Didn't quite get the tip he was looking for either. But it's his goal that's doubled the Wanderers' lead after the opener finally arrived from Miguel Di Pizio. Two favourites of the Wanderers fans, those two. I think they'll grow to be this season. Di Pizio certainly. Borrello for the heart and soul he's showed over the stint he's had in red and black already. He's played a good little link-up playing as the lone centre forward tonight. Had plenty of support in behind him in terms of creative midfield options, but he's been trusted to do the bulk of the brunt work and link things up. Introduction here for Jared Carluccio, another one who's coming off the back of signing a new 2-year deal. And he's going to replace Panache Madana, who has made a solid starting debut, got forward consistently and provided enough headaches for Tigers FC's defence. I think we'll see improved performances the more he plays under Ufuk Talay this season. Certainly that's what Wanderers fans are hoping for. Shown the ability at different times in his Adelaide United career, Madonna. Just needing to work on that consistency a little bit, and making sure the same output is there week in, week out. A couple in this Wanderers squad fitting that description. Gillian has been tireless today down the left-hand side. Won his team another corner. Some Tigers subs up, which is drawing the favour of the crowd as well. 10th corner of the night for Angus Thurgate to send in. And this one's deep towards Borrello, half clear by Southam. Picked up by Waraga. And Carluccio with his first touch since coming on. Interchange of passes with Di Pizio. And then just a ball behind Mattia Waraga. Gersbach's been really good in stifling Tigers' counter-attacks before they've begun in this second half. Borrello looking to run with a football into the area. Saw a clip of their heels. Referee had a quick look and then was quick to turn away as well. It was enterprising. It's got the wrong side of the midfielder. It's just a little nibble there. That's not enough contacts to bring the whistle for a penalty. Well, they've got what they came for at this stage, those Wanderers supports. I'm sure they'd love a third, but they'll be happy enough with 2. Just to get them on their way in the cup. It's about surviving these early rounds. The teams with ambitions of winning it. He's got to be careful here. Augustine Bangura already gone into the book for a challenge very similar to that. Just a moment or so ago, and I think Chris Hodson, our referee, is making that point. It's the last one. And a couple of changes coming here for Tigers. So Noah Steinecker, who was taken out of the team for Schlesinger, will now replace him. Former Central Coast Mariners Academy product. And Tobias Peel is going to make his Australia Cup debut as well, in place of Sohei Matsumuri. Japanese midfielder who, times tonight, looked as though he might provide a bit of ingenuity that might have unlocked the door for Tigers FC. Not proven to be the case, unfortunately, from their perspective. Thurgate for the Western Sydney Wanderers. And here's Waraga. He's looked good. Oh, might have deserved a goal for his work as well. Shot wasn't too far away from forcing a save out of Lejeune, or perhaps sneaking in. Tigers trying to get things started quickly. Zikluna is probably walking a bit of a tightrope himself in terms of the booking, and yeah, the referee just counting that out on his fingers. Be a wasteful yellow card at this stage in the game. It's a wasteful ball forward from Tigers. Borello looking for a second. Brandon Borello into the side netting. The Tigers' discipline has somewhat dissipated after a couple of goals have come in. That's one of the goal scorers, DiPizio. Opened things up tonight for Western Sydney. It looked as though they might be dragged into extra time for a little period there. Their start to the second half was certainly not that impressive. And Gersbach really getting into it with Josh Milicevic. It all seemed to spark out of nothing, and right in front of the supporters, Gersbach was clearly aggrieved by something that had happened in the aftermath of what looked a pretty routine challenge, in all honesty, and bodies fly in from all angles. Milicevic had gone into a little bit of afters with Dylan Cicluna 10 minutes ago. Now having to be pulled out of that little fracas. Be a calling of the two captains together to sort things out. I think it's Thurgate making the point to Sam Whitty. I don't really know what that was all about. And, well, I thought the afters with Josh Milicevic, but it looks as though it's going to be Aiden who goes into the book here. He's looking a bit confused by all of that. And Dylan Cicluna, for the previous incident, I think he just also found himself in the book. So let's watch it all again. This is what it was, and Josh Milicevic going into Gersbach, or Gersbach certainly felt he'd left a bit on him, and it's, well, it was Whittier who got there first. And Milicevic seemed to be quite calm amongst all that, but spotted something, did Chris Hodson, that he didn't like. And the two instigators of all of that have walked away without their names being taken. Gersbach's been around the traps. He knows when somebody's doing something a little bit beyond the means of the professionals' code. He's got the bit between his teeth now. If he was sleepwalking through this game a bit earlier, not to suggest Gersbach has been doing that whatsoever. He's been consistently getting forward and providing an extra body in attack, but might just add a little bit of steam to the end of this game. Been, before that, played in pretty good spirits. Now fouls are just starting to tot up. Chris Hodson must have thought, with the game at 2-0 and everything seeming to peter out, his job had been done. Alas, the players have had different plans for him. Whittier trying to give the home fans something to take home with them in terms of a memory, and a goal scored here at McKellar Park in the Australia Cup for the home sides. Tigers with just about their longest spell of sustained possession that I can remember in the second half. Turned over by Lejeune's ball out though, and Borrello, who really has looked impressive in this second half, not able to slide the ball through for Gillian. He's been helped by the attitude and application of Atio Oraga as well. Got to be careful, Whittier, that he didn't run himself into more trouble there. This time Pantazopoulos into the back of Spencer Barber. The Canadian wanted a whistle that never came. So into the next round of the Cup, the Wanderers will go. They missed the Cup altogether back in 2022 when they were knocked out in the initial qualifiers that the Australian teams were having to play before the exit of Wellington and Auckland from this competition in this edition. Other than that, they haven't been knocked out in the round of 32 since the very first edition of what was then the FFA Cup, when they were subject to really being the first cup set, knocked out by Adelaide City down at the Marsden Sports Complex that evening. Not wanting to make the same mistake tonight, and have looked fairly comfortable for all the effort they had to put in to break the deadlock. They've never really looked threatened down the other end. Just the one save Vidakovic has had to make, and Carluccio to make it 3. That's the save of the night from Lejeune. Superb straining left arm to tip the ball around his post. And the triple change to follow from the Western Sydney Wanderers perspective. Good to see Owen Lawal's going to get some minutes here. He's been in such hot form in the NPL down in New South Wales. 2 against Derby Leichhardt on Saturday. Steven Ugarkovic and Jai Rose going to make their entrance as well. Rose, whose only starts in the league last year, came in his debut on New Year's Day against MacArthur. End of the night for Cicluna. Get him out of the way, having been perhaps a little unfortunate to cop the booking. But he's been tidy in the heart of midfield, and Gillian, who has just not stopped, looked very fit for this stage in the season. The older legs of Brendan Borrello getting a well-earned rest as well. Now 30 years of age. So Lawal will take his position. Be good to see him get his name on the score sheet. Have a look at this save again from Lejeune. Won't see too many better than that around the competition in this round of 32. Deliveries to the front post. It was flicked on dangerously. Pantazopoulos running across at the front post. And he just needed a runner at the back to tap it in, and it would have been a perfectly executed set piece. So can the substitutes add a bit of history to their names? There's going to be a little bit of history for Angus Pitkin as well, who's going to get some minutes at the end of this game for Tigers. And Spencer Barber to be removed. Well, it was his goals that got them here, and a hat-trick against Canberra, Croatia. Already a fond memory built for him at McKellar Park, and so his popularity grew and grew. His night in the national rounds is over. Even then, a little bit of afters, Jai Rose getting stuck into things. So Whittier, maybe just saying, hey, young fella, I know you've got your chops going in the A-League, but been around a little bit longer. Don't need to get involved in that sort of stuff. Good to see Marko Milutinovic has still got a smile on his face. Rose and Whittier perhaps with the get even there. the little coming together earlier. I tell you what, this is really heating up. Ferreira and Pantazopoulos were not best pleased with that challenge. Pantazopoulos is not shy of an altercation like that. He's going to find himself in the book as well for his reaction. But the yellow cards, which was initially out for Whittier, is shown to him as well. And the calm head of Angus Thurgate just making very clear why his teammates were so keen to play bodyguard for their teenage teammates. Still only 18 years of age, Jai Rose. Let's say he was second favourite to get the ball there. I think it might have been a secondary thought. So Ugarkovic, who's proficient from these sorts of situations, could fire something in dangerous. Or will it be the less likely option of Waraga? It's Ugarkovic again. And Lawal got his head to the ball. Went straight into the lap almost of Elijah Howe. Goes back, scrambling to reel the ball in and ensure Tigers can't even get their consolation of a late goal. I have to say, 2-0 feels about right in terms of how well Tigers FC defended in the opening 45 minutes. They were superb. Really did provide a sturdy test for the Western Sydney Wanderers, who weren't at their best. There was a lot of passes like that, just some sloppiness at the start of their season. Maybe just some tired legs starting to set in as well now. Gersbach's not having any of that. He's right up for the battle at the end of this game. And Ferreira and Pantazopoulos' new partnership, Bergening, you could call it, has developed nicely through the evening. They've looked sure of themselves, tougher tests certain to come, but nothing like the confidence of a clean sheet to get your season underway. Goes back for Waraga, and he's not able to keep the ball in play. He's had a happy return to the capital. He grew up playing his football. It's been a really good performance. A sharp half hour or so that he's provided the Wanderers from the bench. It's the first brought on by Ufuk Talay tonight. I wonder if that's a sign of things to come this season. In the minutes he's due to win. Thurgate for Ugarkovic. Seems to be two of the three who are going to be competing for the midfield spots. DiPizio opened the scoring tonight. Not able to beat the first man with his cross. Rather wasteful throw-in from Southam. It's about the first mistake I've seen him make this evening. And one of the most impressive in this Tigers team. Ugarkovic. DiPizio. It's the sort of area he wants to operate in, but then the heavy touch led to the loose challenge. There's going to be another yellow card shown here. Well, they've suddenly totted up towards the end of the first half. And I have to say, I don't think DiPizio can have too many complaints about that. Once he lost the ball, I'll tell you what, the touch was lighter than I thought at first glance. Milicevic was in the better position and there was contact. Anything with the studs these days is looked upon pretty dimly by referees. You have to be a little out of control, and particularly a game that's had the temperature turned up on it like this, you will find yourself in the book. Jai Rose down the left, looking to be a little more productive. Waraga goes back. Might be a case of being happy to keep the ball now for Western Sydney, just to see out the 90 minutes. And the stoppage time that we're in right now. Waraga. Rose. Just slipped as he played that ball. It has been a cold night here in Canberra, and Milicevic Hayden on a different page to Josh. There might be a chat about that in the changing room after the game as well. They've gone through the full cycle of brotherly emotions tonight, those two. Standing up for one another in a bit of a fracas earlier, and then getting frustrated with the other's actions as well. It's in the full slate tonight. Milicevic stepping in to take the ball off the toe of Jai Rose, and then feeding Josh, who goes to ground under Pantazopoulos' challenge. He's conducted himself nicely tonight, Angus Thurgate, wearing the captain's armbands after Borrello went off. Expecting him to have a bigger role, and a few more of these Wanderers getting their season off on the right foot. It took a bit of time to find the opener, but Miguel De Bizio, in his starting return to Western Sydney, found it just after the hour mark, and it was followed in by his skipper Brandon Borrello, who opened his account for the 26-27 season with a very nicely constructed move. And Ufuk Talay's start to life as the Western Sydney Wanderers head coach is a winning one. Ali Efe, the Tigers FC's gaffer, can be pretty happy with their output tonight as well, despite going down. They did a stern test in the opening to the Western Sydney Wanderers season, but not enough to make it to extra time or come away with the ACT's first win in Australian Cup football for a decade. The wait goes on from that perspective. The Western Sydney Wanderers go on in this competition as they look to make it back to the semi-final, at least for the first time since 2018. Let's have a look at the highlights of the last 90 minutes. There were few and far between in the first half. The Wanderers setting up camp in Tigers FC's half, and they came closest when Brandon Borrello struck the post just after the half-hour mark. But they were a lot more proficient in the second 45 minutes. The opening goal coming from a Tigers turnover, Thurgate pouncing on the pass, and De Bizio squared up by Borrello to open the scoring and finally beat William Lejeune, who put up pretty stern resistance in the Tigers' goal to that point. The second followed a couple of minutes later. Borrello fed nicely by the substitute, 19-year-old Atio Uraga, who looks as though he's going to have a more central role in red and black this season. There was one chance shortly after the second goal as Milicevic struck on target, and Vidakovic was forced into his lone meaningful save of the evening. There could have been one or two more. The Wanderers spurned a couple. This save, the pick of Lejeune's work this evening, as Carluccio couldn't open his account. But the two goals were secured, and so was the Wanderers' place in the round of 16. 72% of possession for the visitors. Just those 6 shots on target. Perhaps a couple of striking drills for Ufuk Talay over the next few weeks ahead of their friendly against Chelsea at a core stadium next Tuesday. You can see their dominance in terms of the stat sheets elsewhere. They go to a core, and Tigers FC return to league football back at this ground as the visitors against Belconnen Blue Devils at 4:30 p.m. And let's have a look at what's happened around the grounds tonight. Fremantle City taking a 2-1 victory up in the Hunter against Maitland FC. Sydney United and the Central Coast Mariners poised to go to extra time, and MacArthur with a 2-goal advantage in Darwin over Azuri United. Games on Sunday, a doubleheader. Western Bears hosting Melbourne City in the Hunter at 2 p.m. before Kingborough Lions United make their bow down in Tasmania against the might of Melbourne Victory. Very nice weekend's viewing. But they'd secured the flag. They came to Canberra to conquer. That's exactly what they've done, the Western Sydney Wanderers. And they will celebrate with their fans. Dylan Cicluna rightly holding that flag. He was superb in the centre of the park tonight. And the new faces played their part as well, which means it's a happy homecoming for Ufuk Talay when the Wanderers head back into Western Sydney. But that's it for us. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday night. And the Wanderers fans go home happy. Their side victorious over Tigers FC by 2 goals to 0.